Hey, it's T. I haven't posted for a while because I am now kind of recovering from a really brutal low. You know, cycle just went straight down. Bottom line, I kind of discovered that there's a huge influence when I use clonazepam. Now, I've been using clonazepam for years, right? But every time that I've used, I listen. I'm sure you guys have had. I'm trying. I'm looking up because I'm thinking, should I take down my kit with all of the medications? Not to show off. Who wants to show off how many medications they have? But just to give an example of like the range of medications that we've been through over the 25 years, and I can't even remember the names offhand, except for the staple ones. But I could, if you tell me a name, I can tell you, yeah, I know it, and I know the generic, and I know all those things for it. So, clonazepam has been in the picture for a long time, but at different points in time, it's had different effects. Um, a consistent side effect, if you've been on it, is quite sedative. But there were points in my life where I'd taken it for a couple of years and it wasn't sedative at all. So it really has to do with the chemistry of what's going on in my brain at the same time what's going on with other medications and how they work. So in other words, and my doctor may like really helped me to understand this, but I kind of figured it in a while. There's when you're working with combinations, you don't just expect that okay if this didn't work this time then it's never gonna work. Every time you try it with a new regime, it might have a different effect, and that's been the case with me. And that's one of the reasons he doesn't like. Um, I'm glad he doesn't like to make two, three, four changes every time we have, a shift in something. You change something, um, one at a time. Case in point, and right in front of me, I have a series of materials and parts and stuff for a headphone mod that I'm preparing to do, right? And it's a laborious process because I have to change one aspect, then test and test and test, then make a note of what effect it had and go back, change another aspect, test. But then when you think about all the parts, it's like a puzzle, right? It's figure out all the parts. If this didn't work before, so I can change it out for something else. Then you say, okay, cool, this didn't really work. This had a different effect. So if I, XYZ, bottom line is, what if you added this to this? Then you add it in a certain ratio and all of that stuff. Maybe to lighten the mood, I'll just give you a quick joke. When I was in secondary school, which is probably high school if you're in the States, I was desperate. Each of our desks had a lock, and I hated the lock and key situation. And this guy in class, his dad was selling combination locks, but the one that you roll with the numbers, four numbers, not the turning one. And I don't know, I was so enamored with it. And my dad used to teach in the same school, so I would like go up and beg him, could I get one? Could I get one? Eventually, he said, "All right, if you want one, go ahead." So I went. I told the guy in class, "Hey, listen, bring one for me tomorrow, right?" And he did, and it was the best thing until I forgot the combination, right? And if you have to cut your lock, it's a process because you have to. It's the school had like bolt cutters. You have to go get permission. You have to go get this, and you have to give a reason why. And I didn't want to destroy my lock. I was like, I'm gonna figure this out. So I'm not kidding, guys. I used to stay like late in school, and even when my dad went home, I used to stay late till they literally locked up the whole room. It's kind of dark, right? And I used to walk home, and that's not an easy walk either at the time. But here's the thing: I tried every possible combination. So I started at 0001, then I went to 002, and when I hit 000 one 0, sorry, 0009, then it goes to 00010, and then 00011. So it's like going like 11, 12, 13, and as you know how it goes, right? Guess what my combination was? 7985. It took me to have to put my first number at 7,000. So it took me about maybe about 2.5 weeks to get through all, because I couldn't do through class. I had to wait, you know, recess, lunchtime, after, before class, after class, and the whole purpose was I couldn't tell my dad I lost the combination because he'd be like, "Oh, now you understand." and and if you have a lock with a key, you could just we had a you could leave a copy of your key in the office, right? So if you ever lost one, you could get a spare, with a combination lock, and you can't go write it down somewhere and give it to them because that's just not how things work. Bottom line was that what I was telling you just now just reminded me of that, and I thought that was so funny. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I hope that made you smile. Um, and yeah, I just in case you wondered, yes, I had a lot of books and some snacks and stuff that you're not supposed to have during class. And of course, you know what was going on there. People couldn't understand why the classroom was smelling like that. And yeah, eventually when I got it open, and you have no idea how relieving that was, because every time you put a combination, you have to pull the lock to see if it'll unlock. So the latch was almost entirely off the desk itself, you know. So I used to be borrowing people's books and all kind of things for like those 2 weeks, and when I finally opened it and the stuff was rotting and everything in there, it was crazy. But I still loved it. I still had fun. Anyway, so bottom line is this, guys. Um, I'm trying to cheer myself up too. I just wanted to say in particular, I have to make note now of the effect of the clonazepam on uh, my cycle right now with how things are in the combination. Now I have to see my doctor on Monday. So ba- basically, I have to update my tracking of things that I started doing in detail, and I thought that was so tedious. Like I just realized, why am I wasting my time doing that in that way? So this is a suggestion that I'm making because I thought of it, and you probably have done it. And when I say it, you probably think I'm an idiot for not figuring it out, especially considering my background in tech, IT, and in teaching and everything in that respect. But yeah, why did I just use a mind mapping and tracking app on my iPad Pro? Because with the Pro, the pen works well. You can just draw where you want to draw it and stuff. It's easier to use, in my opinion, than on a laptop or whatever. It's convenient, so you won't feel like you don't really want to do it. But it can really lay things out, you know, really lay things out for you, and for the doctor to see, your doctors to see what's been, how things have been going. And if you continue to track it, um, you can send the updates. It just makes so much sense. It's like too much sense, you know what I mean? And because of that, just thinking about it this morning, and I have used mind mapping software before in my businesses you know, that I ran or whatever that I started. I was the one to suggest, yeah, we're gonna use mind mapping apps and stuff. I have my wife get introduced to it for her job, and her job has a lot of complexities, and she just found it all that helpful. I just didn't think about it for this application, but strange things happen, and just be glad when they do if it's a good thing. So I'm passing that advice on. If you had been doing it, pass it on to someone else, or let your doctor suggest it. I don't know, whatever you guys want to do, but I just needed to share it with you. Um, I mean, like, so what I can do is like, I've used a few in the past. I can pick When I pick one that I think is effective enough to be able to do long term tracking and everything in order, I could probably give you the suggestion to the one I use. Anyway, I hope you guys are well, and I wish you well. If you Hope you wish me well to get out of this trench. And thanks for listening, guys. S- I'm out.